Greetings, viewers. Do I have yet another story to tell you? Before I start, if you read the title, this latest entry might scare the crap out of you, so if you are sensitive to what I'm about to share, please leave this video now. Oh, you willing to watch the rest of this? Alrighty. If you must know, I've created a dystopian science fiction that emulates the concept of the New World Order. No, not wrestling. I'm referring to the conspiracy theory called the New World Order. In my other video series about my DA page, I've talked about how I was frightened and fascinated by the idea, which led to the creation of Project Shuriken. I'll get into further detail about how it all came to be. Before my knowledge of the New World Order, I was minding my business with my dream to be either an actor or musician. Somewhere along the line, I was intrigued by hearing current events around the world, i.e. the War of Afghanistan, the Boston Marathon incident, you name it. And during high school, I kept drawing this caricature of myself, which included my Shuriken symbol as a tattoo. I did this while I produced music as DJ Hipsong. After I graduated in 2014, I was gonna go to college to major in music production so I can pursue my dream as a music producer. However, I somehow indulged my interest in, you guessed it, the New World Order. After watching that one video that supposedly opened my eyes to how the world works despite what I'm told, I silently told myself that I'd ditch college to spend time with myself elsewhere. So instead of college, I spent 4 months in some public library to think about the New World Order and the Illuminati. Believe me when I say this, I was nuts about those two topics at the time. One of the things I've learned was the usage of symbols. To indicate you're part of some secret society, you gotta show some weird hand gestures while covering your eye. I thought it was a bit creepy too when I've learned of predictive programming. When I was young, I had zero clue what happened to 9/11 until years later. I'm not going to nitpick certain conspiracy theories. I'm only providing details about how I felt about the topics I did research of during the 4 months. Have you seen The Matrix? How about They Live? Yeah, I imagined I was a mix of Neo and Nada when I thought over and over about the condition of this world if it wasn't for the so-called sinister elite. I imagined I was a rebel stuck in some grid full of slaves. Yeah, do call me a nutjob. I didn't really consider myself a nutjob at the time because, again, I was freaked out at the ideas I've learned. In my mind, I believe that after I mentally took the red pill and continued learning about the New World Order, I would contribute to some ongoing operation that would save the world. I even tried to join some protests against corrupt power. What a freaking weirdo I was. To avoid my parents' suspicion about my activities during the span of 4 months, I had to make up fake stories about how well I'm doing in college, though in reality, I never registered in a class. You can pretty much say I did something selfish for 4 months. As of now, I've calmed down about those things, and I've confessed my trips to a public library under the impression of attending college. While I was building my interest in my music during high school, I would draw time and time again. Remember the caricature I spoke about earlier? I decided this would be a character who would defend himself and other like-minded characters from an antagonist who runs the world with his minions. By the way, what also inspired my creation of a sci-fi story is a gallery of illustrations made by an artist called These Illustrations. Based on what I've seen and what I've learned, I developed Project Shuriken, a dystopian sci-fi about a cyborg misfit who is surviving an antagonistic police corporation backed by the government of the obedient New Earth. During 2015, I poured my passion towards this series and even made a musical album dedicated to the story. If you would like to listen, the link to my Bandcamp is in the description. Honestly, I had this delusion that I could be one of those people who helped save the world from some sinister agenda that would scar everyone from living their lives. And despite feeling like I'm Neo, I felt a bit hypocritical at the time because according to conspiracy theorists, we're contributing to the powers of government as their slaves. The programs we watch, the foods we eat, the medications we take, We're brainwashed to believe that they're all good for us. I say you practice moderation. Anyway, when I've learned these things, I feel like buying snacks to satisfy myself after a visit to a library.
Oh no, I'm contributing to the elite by buying snacks with their green pieces of paper made by the Federal Reserve? Ignorance is bliss, I suppose.
For Project Shuriken, the story emulates the authoritarian angle of the New World Order, with concepts of RFID chip implants, thought police, cyborgs with given gadgets, and super drones. See, I feel like masking my angst about the ideology by making a story about it based on how I saw it. As a bonus, when I learned about social justice warriors and political correctness, I've created characters who possess the traits of SJWs. And here's some bonus stuff to know. During the 4 months, I tried to dress like an emo person, something I tried to do back in high school while I drew my original character. I also listened to some screamo music that will reflect my feelings at the time.
Oh man, I'm supporting celebrity puppets of the New World Order by listening to their music? Oh no, I'm brainwashing myself!
Okay, I get it.
Sorry.
Anyway, another thing I can share is even though I felt regretful for not attending college, I felt I had enough free time to think of ways to get myself out there in this world if I gave up sharing my music. And that eventually manifested creations I've made, including Angela and Zen. I personally couldn't see myself as just an average Joe who would live a boring life with no ambition of my own while helping someone else achieve theirs. If you have an ambition, do pursue it as best as you can. I may not be well known yet, but my talents and interests keep me going. Now, if you were to meet me in person, the first few things you'd hear from me is about my passion for my music and art, and how much I love Kamen Rider. We'll never ever discuss the New World Order unless we're comfortable to even talk about something as edgy as that idea. Needless to say, approach me at your own risk. Until I feel like sharing another story, here's hoping you've learned something new. To find me, seek the Shuriken symbol. I'll see you again. Cheers.